Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News channel. Great to have everyone here. All kinds of stuff going on today, but I believe, with a little bit of luck, we will have Brigitte Belton. I call Brigitte the mother of the Freedom Convoy because she is the woman who started the convoy, and she's supposed to join us here on the program very shortly. But tonight she's going to be talking about wildfires. She'll join that conversation to help put all of that into perspective. And there's a lot of perspective to be had on the political scene tonight because we have Gavin Newsom taking shots at Trump and Donald Trump taking shots at Canada and Mexico, saying Canada and Mexico are countries that do whatever he tells us to do. Well, all I can say is Donald Trump es un hombre muy estúpido y irrespetuoso. Stay with me. More coming on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
A tad overconfident, I would say. Mr. Trump, here he is, in full bombast mode.
Remember when Joe Biden used to always go, I need legislation. I had no legislation. I just said we're closing the borders, and the whole world understood it because they respect your country again. They really respect this country again. They didn't respect it. When he said it, it didn't mean anything. But now they know it meant a lot. And Mexico does what we tell them to do, and Canada does what we tell them to do, because we have the two borders. We have the northern border, the southern border, and they were both horrible. But now it's some people say it's a miracle.
There's a difference between fear and respect. Trade negotiations continue. The 29th is still, well, how many days is that? It's the 14th today. So that's the deadline on the Canadian side for these tariffs. And we keep seeing Trump taco out. So no telling, no way to know exactly where these things are going to end up. I see all these online streamers, influencers, pro-American, saying, it's no use. You might as well just give up. Pack it in. Trump holds all the cards. It's all Canada's fault. Yeah, whatever. What we're seeing around the world is that these things go right to the deadline. And then in dramatic fashion, Trump usually comes out, or it comes out in in conjunction with whatever country he's dealing with at the time, and there's a deal made at the 11th hour. And usually it's not a deal at all. It's usually some sort of a framework for a tariff deal of some kind, and it's not worth the paper it's written on because he changes direction on a whim. We're seeing as well right now that whatever happens on with regard to this deadline on the 29th is likely not that relevant anyway, because the big deal is what's coming next year with the renegotiation of CUSMA, or the United States, Mexico, Canada Trade Agreement, USMCA or CUSMA, well, whatever you want to call it. So all of that is still playing out. It's going to continue to play out. There will be preliminary discussions and preparations heading into next year's negotiations to renegotiate the CUSMA deal, which Trump said at the time was the best trade deal ever negotiated. And now he says it's the worst trade deal ever negotiated. And we've been down this road before, and we just have to wait and see what happens. And it's all a big mess. A huge, gigantic, big mess. U.S. style politics, baby. And it is coming up here to Canada, Kanakistan, and I'm actually it's wearing thin on me. I have to be honest, but I guess we have to get used to it because it seems like it's here to stay. Have you noticed though that the flavor of politics up here has dramatically changed? I certainly have. It's very American, and I think that's because we have a lot of U.S. influence in our politics, which I think should be of major concern to people, especially those who keep saying foreign interference in the House of Commons. Yeah, I don't see it just in the House of Commons and in Ottawa. I see it all over the place. I certainly see it online. Yeah. And Trump, really, at this point, just, very unpopular, maybe the least popular, the most unpopular president in modern history. In fact, Ontario Premier Doug Ford just the other day, 2 days ago, came out and said that he's the most hated politician in the world right now. I'm paraphrasing. I don't think that's an exact quote, but you get the idea. Ford today coming out and concerned, making statements about Campbell's Soup, really singling that brand out. He brought the matter up during an unrelated news conference in Pickering today, where he talked about legislation that would make it easier for shoppers to identify what products are made outside of Canada. This amid the ongoing trade war with the United States. He's floating this idea of introducing legislation that would force companies to place a flag of origin on their products. And he took aim directly at Campbell's for misleading people with some of its soup labels. Here, I've got a clip from him. So basically, you see, Campbell's produces a lot of its products on the U.S. side, of course, but then they're kind of misleading people, making them think that the country of origin is here in Kanakistan, and it might not be so. He says Campbell's places a label on some of their soups, touting their ties to this country, despite manufacturing many of their products at a plant in New Jersey. Here, let's bring up old Dougie and see what he has to say. He's been the most, I think. He's had the most steel in his spine, an appropriate term given Canada's, Ontario's steel industry. He's had the most steel in his spine standing up to Trump of all the Canadian politicians to date, I would say. Here's Doug Ford. Oh, did we just lose that clip? No, here we go.
What really bothers me lately, and I got to have a chat with all the retailers, the big five. I've heard many stories that you're outsourcing out of our country when there's great manufacturers here. I heard a story yesterday that you're going to Thailand, you're going to China, pulling business away from Ontario workers. If I have to put a Canadian flag and every other flag on every single product and legislate it until the consumer can see that you aren't pulling the wool over their eyes, because that's what they're doing, and I still have to get a can of Campbell soup that's putting that Canadian flag on, that's not being manufactured here, misleading the people, and getting it, getting it produced in Camden, New Jersey, the can, the label, the stuff inside, and do you know what they put? Recipe of Canada. Do you think the people of Ontario are that dumb? Like, I'm gonna call you out and get one of those cans. I'm gonna rip that label off and encourage people to buy made in Ontario, made in Canada soup. And maybe what you should do is bring back your manufacturing facility that you closed down in Etobicoke and got rid of hundreds of people. But I just can't stand sneaky companies that do stuff like that.
I bought 10 pounds of potatoes this week at the supermarket. I think I told you the other day for $1.99 Canadian. Yeah, there's no HST on that because it's a 10-pound bag of potatoes. So it's exempt from some of the sales tax. $1.99. Did I say $1.99? 10 pounds of Ontario potatoes. I'm not starving to death this week. I'm eating hearty. I'm eating Ontario potatoes. And they are good too. I can't eat them fast enough, honestly, because the kidlets, they left the nest a while back, and so for me to go through 10 pounds of potatoes, me and my wife, it takes some eating. They grow ears on them before I get to the bottom of the bag. I can tell you that. I just don't eat enough of them. But I bought that 10-pound bag of potatoes, and I will smash them and mash them. Okay, what else do we have to talk about tonight? Under Donald Trump, 80% of Canadians apparently disapprove of the United States now, according to new U.S. data. Here, I'll show you the headline. Over on Global News tonight, they're picking up on this. So I'm not just going to scalp the story. I'm going to give them credit. Here you go. Amid ongoing economic tensions between Canada and the U.S., a survey released today shows patience is wearing thin among Canadians, with almost 80% disapproving of the current leadership in that country. The survey conducted by Gallup in May and June shows Canadians have a 15% approval rating for the U.S. leadership, the lowest U.S. President Donald Trump has received, and down from 17% in 2020 and 16% in 2018 during his first term. The Gallup World Poll, which started in 2005, measures the attitudes, behavior, and well-being of people across more than 140 countries. The five major global powers in the study, Canadians' disapproval rating of the U.S., 79%, fell roughly in line with that of Russia, 82%, and was worse than that of China, 64%. Meanwhile, a 54% majority of Canadians approve of Germany's leadership, which was the highest positive rating among major global powers this year. And the survey also shows a longer-term trend since 2017, except for a spike in 2021, that only a minority of Canadians approve of the U.S. administration each year. Gallup says the trend is consistent with changes in U.S. administrations and cites an average 61% approval rating of Washington by Canuckistanians under former. I'm sorry, Sandy, for saying that. I know you don't like it, but I just think it's humorous. Under former President Barack Obama, 19% in Trump's first term, and 41% under former President Joe Biden. Trump has imposed repeated rounds of steep tariffs on Canada since coming into office in January, and has frequently suggested Canada should become the 51st state. Oh, yeah, that's not threatening or disrespectful. That wouldn't do anything to, hurt your tourism industry at all. And we're not even talking about the ICE agents on the streets who have arrested some Canadians, excuse me, and thrown them in the gulag down there. In some cases, actually in shackles, hands and feet, chains around their waists. Canadians, Canuckistanians, were actually pretty nice people. You might not need to go that far. The Gallup survey is the latest of several recent polls which show Canadians are frustrated amid the trade war uncertainty. Of course, some of the pro-Trump streamers out there really don't give a crap about Canadians who are incarcerated in the United States for days. I care. Another poll conducted in June by Ipsos exclusively for Global News found roughly 3/4 of Canadians intend to avoid travel to the U.S. Yeah, that might just put a little damper on your U.S. tourism trade and Disneyland, which is, but you can tour Alligator Alcatraz, which is up travel. Yeah. And then the sentiment has also been demonstrated in data released by StatsCan. Yeah, people don't want to go down there. People are afraid. Yeah, where are you going to go for vacation? Not the United States. The Ipsos poll also found nearly 3/4 of Canadians are avoiding buying goods that are made in the U.S. and are buying more Canadian-made goods wherever possible. Yeah, I do see a lot of people talking that way, bypassing all the U.S. produce, going straight for the other stuff. I've even seen a live streamer out there frying up 1-inch thick steaks from Australia, saying buy anything but Canadian. He's very patriotic. Yeah, he loves his country. Not. Meanwhile, Canadians may be feeling more optimistic about their own. He's starving to death, you see, because the economy is so bad. So he had a whole barbecue. I just happened to go over there to creep his Facebook page. Brother. Because I was told that my name was mentioned. Anyway, meanwhile, Canadians may be feeling more optimistic about their own leadership as of late, according to the Gallup poll with a 59% approval rating in 2025, up 19% from the previous year. This follows Mark Carney replacing Justin Trudeau as Canadian Prime Minister. So yeah, this is the result of an overconfident U.S. president. A tourism industry that is suffering immensely. Actually, that being said, I just happened to take note of another story. Maybe I can find it here. I didn't have it queued up, but it's definitely worth mentioning because I've seen a whole bunch of reports of late about Las Vegas. And things are not looking so rosy down there. In fact, I've seen some reports that right here. Here's just a bunch of them. Time Magazine, Fox News, Las Vegas tourism officials blame tariffs for fewer visitors as others say magic's gone. Yeah, they're in trouble down there in Vegas land. Sin City. Baby. Here, I'll show you the Google search results. First up, right there. Look, all these news outlets reporting on this. An empty strip and fewer tips. Is Las Vegas in trouble? That's Time. CBC reporting the same 15 hours ago. A day ago, Time Magazine. Photos Travel Guide 2 days ago. I've seen some independent live streamers too. Just stuff just randomly kind of popping up in my feed over the past 2 weeks. Touring, just going through with, videos, doing live streams in empty casinos on the strip. And, showing, I saw a guy, actually a very interesting video, touring, sort of almost like it's almost an abandoned, it's open, but the thing that it's a hotel way off the strip, right? It's one of those hotels you can stay at in Vegas that's off the beaten path. So it's supposed to be a lower price thing, but there's nobody there. It has like a roller coaster. I don't remember the name of the place, but it's like a ghost casino. Like there's literally nobody in the place. Nobody. And he got a room and it was starting to get run down. And it looked pretty good, walking through the casino and stuff. But in the room, you could see that there were just a lot of things starting to fall into disrepair. They're having trouble in Vegas. I suspect it's probably fallout from the pandemic. And now the tariffs are hitting them hard. And a lot of Canadians like to go to Vegas. Not so much right now. Let's click on one of these and and we'll just see what's being said about it here. This is sort of has always been a pro-Trump news organization, and there's Fox reporting on this story. Las Vegas tourism officials blame tariffs for fewer visitors as others say magic's gone. Vegas casino insiders say reports the city is dead are a bit premature, so they're trying to put a more positive spin on it. But officials are speaking out after recent reports after putting tourism decline in Sin City in the spotlight. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority held its board of directors meeting addressing various factors that have been impacting tourism. So they're trying to put a positive spin. Damage control down on Fox News, aisle 7. Some of the decisions our administration has made around international relations have caused a drop in tourism, said Hill, according to local outlet KTNV Las Vegas. Hill added, our international visitation is flat, but is making up for a 20+% drop in tourism from Canada, which is our largest international source of visitation. And let's go back and let's just see what else. Here's the CBC version. So this is the Kanakistanian report. After doing gangbuster business in the post-COVID era, Las Vegas is in the midst of a slump, with the number of tourists down sharply as Canadians in particular avoid Sin City amid bilateral bad blood over trade. Yeah, bad blood, that might be an understatement. Canada and Mexico do whatever I say. They do whatever I tell them to do. Some people say it's a miracle. Yeah, you might want to find out what people are actually saying about you behind your back. The total number of visitors is off more than 11% year over year, according to data from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, one of the most dramatic declines in recent memory outside of the pandemic. Airline figures reveal there's been an even steeper decline among Canadians going to the desert gambling mecca. Do you guys like Vegas? I'm going to look in the chat. Anybody like Vegas? Little bit of a time delay there. No response yet in the chat. You let me know if you like Vegas. I kind of like going to Vegas, but I don't gamble. I don't drink. And so when I'm down there, I just kind of walk around and look at the pretty lights. Sometimes, I've been to a couple of shows. Here's dropping Canadian air travelers to Las Vegas. And I was speaking to a tourism person in Vegas one time when I was there with my wife, actually. And you know what he told me? I'll put this out there as a survey question. It's what's the number one activity in Las Vegas? If anybody guesses, I will send you absolutely at no charge your choice of either version of the Trump fight t-shirt. All right. And I will also give you the option of having me write fake on it and sign it, or you can just have it clean, pristine. You can have the virgin version of the Trump fight t-shirt. Either version, if you guess what the number one activity in Las Vegas is, put it in the chat. And if you guess correctly, you will be the proud recipient, grand prize winner of a Trump fight t-shirt, which nobody wants to buy anymore. I couldn't even give them away. So probably, we'll see if we get any response. People are going to be like stepping back. I'm not responding. Jubilee says gambling. They've been to Vegas. Atlantic City, Norfolk says shows. Nope. They're all wrong. Nope. Nope. I'm going to keep an eye on there for the next few minutes. Sin. A friend of mine once said to me, I'm not going to get this exactly quoted correctly, but it was something to the effect of, I think he was referring to a woman, actually, but it may have just been a direct description of Vegas. But it's like it looks so shiny on the outside, but it's so dirty on the inside. That's Las Vegas. And it is so true. So true. I don't know how it works down there, but I stayed at the D one time because it's in the old end of the strip, because I used to go down there for the big SEMA car show every year. And I checked in. I went to my hotel room. I'm in there by myself, and I'm just sitting there. And the phone rings. I'm like, oh, who's calling me? How does anybody even know I'm here? Must be the front desk. Nope. I pick up, and I can't remember her name. It's some woman on the other end of the phone, and she's offering to come up to my room. And I'm like, who are you? And she gave me a name, and she's telling me how friendly she is. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Because I'm thinking the best thing in this situation would be to like keep my wallet. But so they must at that hotel, they must have some arrangement where they inform certain people, like I guess maybe they get a cut or whatever. And then this is probably a really, really, really bad idea. No. Thanks. And I'm like, no, thank you, no. And yeah, I mean, it is such a sinful place. It's so American, isn't it? So kind of Trumpian. You walk around on the streets there, and I don't know if you've been there, but you guys who have been, I'm sure you're going to know what I'm talking about, especially guys. You walk down the street, and you see these people, and they have these cards with like a number to phone and the pictures of even like naked women, and they sit there and they clack them against their fingers to make noise. And if you walk by, like, they hand you these cards, and everywhere you walk, you see these things scattered on the sidewalk and thrown here and there, these cards. Yeah, what a place. What a place. I can't say that I see that level of sin in places like Windsor, say, where you've got the casino there, or in other places where you have casinos. But man, in Vegas, the sin is on full display, isn't it? And to me, that really embodies a lot of what Trump is all about. It's like this glitzy, and it's a show. But when you start peeling back the layers, what do you find? Deep, deep, deep down inside. What is that? Oh, Epstein.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I have to say, I am not going to the States anytime soon. And that's saying something for me, because I've always been all my life very pro American. Always loved the States, still love the States, but what's going on with Trump right now just scares the living daylights out of me. The use of the ICE agents, the National Guard now, on the streets of Washington, D.C. The crime, the level of crime on the U.S. side, never, and I'm editorializing, but I don't care tonight. I'm editorializing. Crime never bothered me that much. I don't scare that easily, right? And I have a theory, a code to live by. And my code is, if you don't want to get into trouble, don't go over to Detroit and make a drug deal. If you're not doing that, you're probably not going to get your ass fried. And I've been to the scuzziest, most low life, rundown, slummy places in Detroit. I used to go over there on the weekends all the time. I used to drive around over in the worst parts of the city just to kind of see what was going on. Didn't really scare me. I'd go into the gas stations around those neighborhoods, and you'd have all the people coming up to you and stuff. But I never had any trouble. But then I wasn't making a coke deal, or selling bags of weed to people on the streets or something. Just treat people with respect. Don't flash any large amounts of money around. I would say that. But you have to just be smart and cautious. But I never had any trouble over in Detroit, although it's always been very, very rough. You want to be the 51st state? You should travel a little bit down in the States before you ask for that. You might just get what you ask for. And it's not pretty. Not pretty. They've worked very hard in that town. I love Detroit, but man, they have had to work so hard to bring back some of those burned out, run down, devastated areas, just ripped apart economically. And they're still fighting and scratching and scraping. And you can see, I've said it before, I have to say that the Republican areas, generally speaking, when I've driven across the United States, as you drive, I've driven like from here to Texas and back a couple of times, just in my car, because I'm not a trucker. But, and truckers can speak to this, probably even better than I can, because they do it all the time. But my observation was that when you get into like Democrat areas, they tend to be more run down. And the streets are generally not in as good condition. And when you get down into some place like, I can't really say that's always true, because when you get down into Texas, sometimes it's Republican territory, but sometimes you're talking about a Democrat government or politicians in charge down there. And I've always liked Texas a lot. And I found places like Houston, for instance, to be, very modern and clean and just very futuristic in many respects. When you drive through a place like Houston, the overpasses and the big buildings there and the growing economy. I've always liked Texas very much, although some of the attitudes need to be taken with a grain of salt. I can say that. Wanted to go work and live in Texas. I did work in Texas just for a little while, as I've told you before. But right now, no, I don't really have any desire to go back, because I am just a wee bit fearful of what's going on down there. I'm like, I got to get the heck out of here. Except I didn't have to go because I never left after the pandemic. Haven't been over the border since the pandemic, and I would have gone probably several times since then. But nope, I'm staying right here in the great white north for the time being. I'm hopeful. Yeah, I'm hopeful things will change, pivot back for the better. Stay with me.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's go back to the chat. I'm going to put it up on the screen here so you guys can see. Oops, that's not right, is it? Oh, yes, it is. Okay. Let's bring it up on screen. Nope, that's not the right one. There it is. Let's see what we have over here in the chat. What is the number one activity in in Las Vegas? And the answers are, let's see here. Take your pet ostrich to Las Vegas and splurge dollars, says Jubilee. No, ostriches don't fly, so you have to take an airplane. I know there are people out there who believe they do fly, but could you imagine if they did? Aren't seagulls bad enough? And like all birds, can you imagine giant ostriches laying a great big you-know-what on your windshield? Let's see here. How far back do I have to go? Okay. Take your pet ostriches to Vegas. No. Family vacation, no. And no to Vegas, says Norfa. Yeah. No, hate it, says Jubilee. I've actually lost my taste for it, to be honest with you. I don't really care if I ever go back to the place. I find it, I like walking around and looking at the lights and going to the shows and stuff, but really overall, it's so freaking fake and tacky. It really is. The Lovely says not a fan. Lindy says used to like Vegas, haven't been in years. Yeah, I like the shows. Yeah, some of the shows are pretty good. Hate Vegas, says Jubilee. Gambling, says Jubilee. Nope. Shows, nope. Sin, we went through that. Tourism, that's too general, and I'd just still say no. Seeing the sights, pretty close. Drinking, dining, dam, Hoover. Yeah, the Hoover Dam. That's cool. Tours, street actors, performers, prostitution. Yeah, no, that's a good way to get yourself into trouble, or at least into bankruptcy, I think. So steer clear and hold on to your wallet. Sin City, they call it, Rick. Yes, they do. Anything goes, disgusting and dangerous. Yes. Undercity crime. Wedding. Old shiny tires, Rick, says Jubilee. Love Detroit, says Jubilee. I do. I love Detroit too. Actually, I like Detroit better than I like Toronto because I just find it has more character and just somehow a richer history, just in the architecture and the the feel of the city. Toronto just seems devoid of culture to me. It's like a big giant chunk of cement. Like Toronto's okay on many levels, but Detroit just seems to have, it's got Motown and that kind of culture attached to it and history. Nerf says, if it wasn't work related, I wouldn't be going down south. I want to stay on my Canadian soil. Yeah, me too. And very tacky. Sex, number one in Vegas. And cars, fountains. No, I'd say the closest was Lindy, I think, said seeing the sights. Yeah, Lindy. I'm going to say that that's close enough because the number one activity, the thing that people do in Vegas, believe it or not, is just walk around. Yeah, just walk around. That's what people spend most of their time doing. And just look on the streets. That's exactly what they're doing. They're walking from one casino to another, to another, to another, to another. And yeah, when I think about the times that I've been there, that's exactly what I do too. I just walk around and look at everything and just see the sights. So Lindy, send me your address. I probably have it here somewhere from before, but I will send you a t-shirt. Send me a message. email me at maverickmultimedia@mail.com. I'll put it up on the screen here, and I'll send you your choice of a Donald Trump fight t-shirt. You can do whatever you want with it. You can wear it. You can put lighter fluid on it and throw a match at it, or I don't know, frame it, keep it as a collector's item. You never know. Down the road, maybe you'll sell it on eBay at a profit. Where's the right there? maverickmultimedia@mail.com. You email me, tell me what size you want, which version you want. There are 2 of them available. I still have a few. Actually, I have quite a few. People wanted them at first, and then suddenly Donald Trump fell out of favor with many people. I'll run the old ad so you can see which one you can choose from again. And if anybody else wants one, you can have one of those Donald Trump t-shirts, or I'll send you, if you want to donate tonight, $30 or more, I'll send you just one of our Maverick t-shirts. And again, send me a message afterward and by email and tell me what size you want. And I will send you a Maverick News t-shirt in any color you want, as long as it's black. Now, where's that promo? There it is right there. It's still in the archive. Here comes out of the archive into the queue and straight on to you.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible t-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air, ready to fight for freedom. Get your Trump Fighting for Freedom t-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are 2 iconic artistic designs to choose from, but there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech, free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
Okay, and I understand there's somebody over on Rumble Chat too that guessed the right answer too. So whoever it is over there, you can send the email and I'll send you a t-shirt. So if you guessed correctly over there on Rumble Channel 2, just send me your address and what size you want, and I'll send you, and which version of the shirt you want to, and I'll send that to you. Happy to do that, even though you hate my guts over on Channel 2. I bet you really don't. I bet you like me more than you're letting on, because I like you. I'm not going to hate you back. I refuse. I don't even hate you a little bit. I still like you. Well, most of you. Oh, man. What a game. What a game it is, eh? All right, hang on. I'm going to run another little promo, and we'll come back and keep moving on with today's top news stories.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, so Gavin Newsom, some people think he's positioning himself to take a run at the presidency the next time around, but today, I guess as part of his politicking, he was once again taking aim at the Donald. Let me see if I can find the clips here of Mr. Newsom. Yes, I do indeed have it. He's out there today speaking. I think he was at the Democracy Center, and he was speaking on California's plan to redraw congressional maps. But he was speaking about more than that. He was talking about the one, the only, the number one newsmaker in the world, the man without a plan. The man who rules with a Sharpie. Donald J. Trump.
When we fight, we win! When we fight, we win! Thank you. Thank all of you. In the spirit of that African proverb that Senator Padilla was referencing, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And I look back at this audience, and I look at all of you united in this cause, and I'm reminded where we are at this precious moment in time. We are in Los Angeles.
Oh, hang on.
So slow.
Hang on.
So slow.
Ooh, hang on. They are making money over there. Money? How did that happen? Oh, we have to get rid of that.
In the most diverse state, in the world's most diverse democracy. And I've long believed that the world looks to us, to all of you, to see that it's possible to live together and advance together and prosper together across every conceivable and imaginable difference. What makes LA great, what makes California great, and what makes the United States of America great is that at our best, we don't tolerate our diversity, we celebrate our diversity. And it's a point of pride because we're all in this together. Where are we? At Democracy Center. And right outside, at this exact moment, are dozens and dozens of ICE agents. Donald Trump, you think it's coincidental? Donald Trump and his minions, Tom Homan, tough guy, clearly decided, coincidentally or not, that this was a location to advance ICE arrests. Indiscriminate? Perhaps. We'll find out later. It was certainly indiscriminate when a 15-year-old disabled boy had a gun put to his head in Los Angeles trying to go to school just a few days ago. I met with it. I don't need to belabor this, except I want to level set. People are scared. People are fearful. You had a United States Senator that was thrown down to the ground in a federal building. Alex Padilla. J.D. Vance's name is Alex Padilla, not Jose Padilla. That's the Vice President of the United States. There's another museum not so far away from us, talks about those 53 days. Some of you know what I'm referring to. Wake up, America. This is a serious moment. Wake up to what's going on. Wake up to the fear, the anxiety. Wake up to what's happening, not just here in Los Angeles, where we saw our streets militarized. We saw our due process rights thrown out the window. You heard the word disappeared. I was with a 12-year-old boy born in Oxnard, California, whose mother and father were disappeared. 20 years going to the same packing facility every single day. He didn't even know how to get back into his own home, into his own house. Had no brothers and sisters. He has now disappeared in an attempt to find his parents. That's Trump's America. That's the moment we're living in. So these are sober times. And so I'm deeply grateful to all of you for standing up and for being here today. I'm grateful for all the elected officials that are here, members of Congress, not just our 2 U.S. senators, to members of the California legislature for having the courage of their convictions, for standing tall and standing firm, to recognize today is Liberation Day in the state of California. And as Senator Schiff said, Donald Trump, you have poked the bear, and we will punch back. Here's the good thing about California, folks. We're the size of 21 state populations combined. We're the 4th largest economy in the world. We're not a small, isolated state. I know they say don't mess with Texas. Well, don't mess with the great Golden State. And so we're here with our state of mind, with the clarity of our purpose and conviction, to recognize that we need to reconcile the world we're living in. We do have agency. We're not bystanders in this world. We can shape the future, and that's what we intend to do today. We're here because Donald Trump, on January 6th, tried to light democracy on fire, tried to wreck this country, tried to steal an election, as Alex just said, by trying to dial in for 11, almost 12,000 votes. And here we are, in open and plain sight, before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system. He doesn't play by a different set of rules. He doesn't believe in the rules. And as a consequence, we need to disabuse ourselves of the way things have been done. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt. And we have got to meet fire with fire. And we've got to be held to a higher level of accountability. So that's what this is about. It's not complicated. We're doing this in reaction to a president of the United States that called a sitting governor of the state of Texas and said, find me 5 seats. We're doing it in reaction to that act. We're doing it mindful of our higher angels and better angels. We're doing it mindful that we want to model better behavior, as we've been doing for 15 years in the state of California with our independent redistricting commission. But we cannot unilaterally disarm. We can't stand back and watch this democracy disappear. We can't stand back and watch this democracy disappear district by district all across this country, not just in Texas, but in Missouri, where J.D. Vance went just a week ago, in Indiana, in places like Ohio, in places like Florida. We need to stand up, not just California. Other blue states need to stand up. We need to be firm in our resolve. We need to put back. So we're here in that light. And I'm grateful to have remarkable partners in the legislature. It's a tall task. We're asking them for 2/3 of a legislative consent, but this is the difference. This is the difference between what's happening in Texas and what's happening here in California. We didn't receive a phone call from the President of the United States to then quietly go in the back room and start drawing maps and legislatively try to jam them through against the consent of the people.
So you're looking to grow your business.
Okay. Let's pull out a Newsom there. I put him up tonight because he's going to be one of Trump's biggest opponents, I think, in the next election, and certainly as they get into the midterms. We're looking at, I think, some pretty heavy-duty. I don't know what the right word is going to be. The country's divided, like almost exactly down the middle. Let's bring our special guest in for the evening. There she is. Hello, Brigitte Belton. Welcome back. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And she cannot hear me.
I gotcha.
She got me now.
I gotcha.
All right. Technical problems.
I'm sorry. I had to play with the settings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back. You're in your truck, which is appropriate since you're the mother of the convoy. Where are you tonight?
I am in I'm headed to Mason City, so yeah.
Okay. Well, but as much as you are on the road, you've been taking note of what's happening up here in Canada, with these wildfires. And we had Jeff
Yeah.
Evely on last night, did the interview with him, and very
Unfortunately, I
controversial.
haven't viewed it yet.
Okay, but you're well aware because you've seen his interviews
Of what he's
elsewhere.
doing. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you have a different take. And so, of course, we always want to provide a voice to all sides of issues. We've been running the politicians. They always have a voice here because they have a big megaphone through their office or offices. We had Jeff on last night. You have a different take. And I have to confess, I like Jeff Evely. He's been on the program quite a few times. On this particular issue, the walking in the woods, the public access to the woods in Nova Scotia, it's taken me a while to form an opinion. After speaking with him last night, I couldn't sleep after I did that interview because I was so troubled, not so much by what Jeff Evely has done himself, but by everything swirling around him because of it. And I think that those are the things too that seem to be concerning you. So I'm happy to have you back on tonight so we can explore this issue a little bit further and give it greater perspective. And so with that, I'm just going to get your initial reaction, Bridget. Can you share your thoughts on this issue?
I can't believe what I'm seeing. I mean, if Jeff wanted to go walk in the woods and he just wanted to go for his own walk, didn't post it on social media, didn't advocate towards everybody else getting upset about walking in the woods. I mean, it's just such a simple little thing, right? I mean, if there wasn't the push to have other people participate, I probably would have said nothing. But we know from Convoy that sometimes there are not the right people that are going to participate. And that caused us a lot of issues at Convoy, that those people that didn't have the right mentality or were pushing for things far beyond Convoy attended. So he was there. I met Jeff. He seemed like a very nice man. I had, no disagreements with him. He seemed like a kind, soft-spoken kind of guy, but had his opinions, which we were all there because we had an opinion, right? So I have no ill will towards Jeff at all. So if Jeff's watching, just so you know, I don't hate you, honey. I just think you're a little bit misdirected on this issue. And I think promoting it to people who we know there are firebugs, we know there are people that are not as responsible as those that maybe like Jeff, who's a veteran and would know what to do in a situation he gets caught in. But the general public isn't Jeff, right? So the general public will get caught in a situation and then someone can get hurt. And that would lie solely and squarely on Jeff's shoulders. And I don't want to see anything happen to him either. And to go in and ask for the fine, I think that just floored me. It's like, why go get the fine? Are veterans being paid so much they can afford a $28,000 fine? Is that why Trudeau said, you're asking for more than we can give? We're already given a lot. I don't think that's right. I don't think Jeff's making a whole bunch as a veteran, right? If he's getting a pension. So, I mean, that kind of fine is going to hurt. But he says he's not raising any money. And then you see political figures standing up and saying, we're going to raise your money for you. Then you've got the JCCF involved. Had Jeff done this on his own, I wouldn't have looked at it sideways. It was all the people that have come and rallied around him that make him look terrible.
Yeah, I said that to him last night. I said, I have some concerns about some of these people who have sort of glommed on to what you've done I didn't use this word but last night, but I'll use it now. They're exploiting this whether it's Rebel News, Andrea Humphrey, who is now standing in the woods. In fact, I think there's a post maybe I can show of Andrea Humphrey from Rebel News right there. Okay, let me show this. And so this is where I really start to have problems, because I no longer view Rebel News as a news organization. They're a
when you involve yourself in the story, you are no longer a reporter. And that's what she did.
And they're consistently doing it. They're into activism. They're not a news organization at all. They really are not. This is not journalism. It's political activism. Right here. Shh. I'm a Canadian sitting in Crown Land woods. Don't let Premier David Eby get any bright ideas. Okay. So she's taunting the government in this post.
Yes.
And, you know, it's one thing to have to as a journalist, you know, produce an editorial, right? And we've discussed
an opinion piece.
Yeah, we've discussed. We used to discuss these things in journalism school and afterward working in newsrooms. You know, is it appropriate? Who should be chosen to be an editorialist, right? To produce editorials for newsrooms. There's a place for editorializing within a news organization, but what they do is they cause a ruckus. They cause problems. They make news. That's right. They generate the news. They make the news. They inject themselves into the story. They center themselves in the story. They do it by running into crowds and getting assaulted accidentally on purpose. They get arrested accidentally on purpose. And it took me a while. Oh, we lost Brigitte there. It took me, a while to really clue into what they were doing. I have to confess, I was, sort of naive, because I thought that they were trying to practice journalism. And so the wool was pulled over my eyes, even as a journalist. But I see very clearly now that that is not really what's going on over there at all. Not at all. Okay, Brigitte is back, and there she is. I don't know if you could hear what I said right there, Brigitte, but I was saying,
I caught some of it.
Even as a journalist, they had me duped, right? For a long time, I didn't really see what they were doing. And they made me really angry when I would see a reporter from Rebel News get arrested, because I was like, you don't arrest journalists. What are you doing? But they're doing it on purpose. There's a big difference. Now I'm really upset with them. I used to get upset with the cops or the government for arresting them, but now I'm upset with them because they're getting arrested on purpose and pretending to be a victim, when in fact they're creating the situation to generate donations, to get more clicks, to get people upset, to promote a political agenda, because it's not journalism. It's some sort of a new fifth generation activism. And that's what Andrea Humphrey is doing right now, glomming on to what Jeff Evely did, sort of trying to sort of mimic him, although she's way out. We don't really know where she is. Could be in her backyard, but pretending to be in the woods someplace to sort of provoke or agitate the Premier of British Columbia, saying, why don't you come in? You can come and arrest me too. All you have to do is pass, same kind of rules they have out in Nova Scotia. But I'll throw it back to you. I've talked too much.
No, I completely agree. And I'm starting to wonder, when I watch them, the people that they cover, are they part of them? Are they paying them? Because during Convoy, I called them, I messaged them while I was sitting and crying and having a meltdown. I need help. Did I get a response? No. How many other people have reached out to Rebel that don't get a response? I'm sure there are thousands.
See, that's what propelled you to
it
the
makes
front,
me
right?
wonder.
Yeah, that video that you're referring to, where you were asking for help, I think you're talking about that first video that really went viral when you were at the border during the pandemic, and the border guards, on the Canadian side were holding you. You were like really distraught because of,
I
them,
was.
trying to force you to wear a mask and being very heavy handed at the border. And you were just so emotional. You honestly couldn't think straight and in tears. I
Yeah.
remember that video
Yeah.
like it was yesterday. And yeah, and no
And it's like we're
response.
talking about it now, and I'm emotional. I'm not healed from that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because it brings me back to that moment where I was so afraid, so I mean, there I am reaching out to like the druthers and the Rebel News, because they were supposed to be on my team. They were supposed to be the journalists that would bring my story to the front. And we had no response from them.
Yeah.
So, it makes me wonder how do they pick,
Yeah. You weren't
who
one of the
they
chosen ones.
respond to. I wasn't one of the chosen ones, which is quite all right. I mean, I don't need the situation that Chris and Tamar are in. And, they wanted it and they got it, and they're in the situation they are because of it. And whatever, they thought they were doing with whomever they thought they were doing it with. But I mean, the whole thing is that it made me question what Rebel News does, and how they work with people, because it's very specific. When you look at the people they're interviewing, I'm looking at them and they're talking about certain people. There were how many thousands in Ottawa that we don't even know their name. But yet every day we see another chosen one of Rebel News being propped up again for whatever rage we're going on. So whether it's ostrich farms or the elbows up thing, and I mean, you look back and it's geez, I saw that person before, or they're part of this group.
Right.
You kind of see it. So it's starting to understand patterns. And if you can start and see patterns, then, and we were taught that as children in public school, not even high school, recognize a pattern. So if you can see these patterns, they're playing out, and a lot of people are missing them. So we really need to be more vigilant and start looking at the patterns that are blatantly right in front of us.
Yeah. It's those patterns that really raised put my radar up after the interview last night, because and again, Jeff goes into the woods, asks for the ticket, and I said to him, I take my hat off to you for being respectful, for being very peaceful about it, just being completely upfront. You weren't playing a game. You weren't running into, well, I said, normally it would be like a crowd and then getting assaulted accidentally on purpose. I said, you didn't run into the woods and get assaulted by a tree and then claim to be a victim. You just said, I'm in the woods, just give me the ticket, because you're making it very clear to the officers there, the Ministry of Natural Resources officers out in Nova Scotia, that, hey, this isn't about you. It's not personal. This is a political thing. I want to challenge this in court, and this is how I have to go about it to get it before the court, so that we can have this review of the law, and I can challenge it on its constitutionality. And I'm like, well, that's valid. If you really want to challenge it and you think you've got a valid case, you can do it that way. But then what's going on around him now is then we're also hearing, but it would be a best case scenario if we had massive numbers of people running into the woods and doing this and following that lead. And now I'm having some concerns and worries about that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, Jeff he seemed nice and respectful when I met him. It was brief. I mean, we didn't spend a whole lot of time together, but he seemed like an even keeled guy. But I don't know who goes in and asks for a fine, first off, especially one that is so major. It's $28,000. It's not a small potatoes. If he's got that kind of money lying around, that's great.
He will not need to pay that if he doesn't want to or can't afford to, because people have already offered to pay it for him. Of course, that's the case. And he won't have to pay his legal bills because the JCCF will represent him. They've told him they will. They have before. He has a history with them. So he's not really.
But I have a problem with that.
Sure, go ahead.
I have a problem with that because he went and got the fine, went and got it. They didn't come to him and give it to him. He went and got it. So he should have to pay it if he loses. Nobody should be funding that. If you want to do a constitutional challenge, do one. You want to say online that nobody's, I'm not getting any funding. I'm not asking for any funding. And anybody that's doing that is, scamming you or whatever he said. I'm paraphrasing, of course.
Yeah.
But if he wants to say that, then cool. Then now you're taking the fine 100% yourself. The problem is we're defunding the conservative movement. We're defunding conservatives to pay for other people's willingness to go and get a fine. That's not right. We need to keep that money for the fights that we do have that are important. And going into the woods, I'm sorry, there are so many other places you could walk. Is there no other place near Jeff's house that he could walk with his dog? There's not a park nearby. There's not a dog park. There's not nothing. I find that hard to believe. I'm just lucky and live in a really great community.
Yeah, I mean, I do see the concern. I understand the worries about government overreach. You can certainly make this argument that it's not going to work or it's not effective. You can make those arguments, but these are things. If you want to take it to court, you can challenge these things. But then he said, "I'm not asking for any donations." But then,
right
in the very next sentence, he said, "If you want to donate,
give to the JCCF,
the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms," which I know, as I sit and think about it, that is, they portray themselves as a civil liberties advocacy when it really isn't. It's a political group. And it receives substantial funding from the research that I've done from the United States. So it is not just a civil liberties advocacy. It's a political activist organization. And that's what they're engaging in here. And I have to wonder what the true motivations are here when I know that some of their funding comes from the US of A, especially with all this 51st state stuff, Alberta separatism. And then I see some of their key lawyers like Keith Wilson out there advocating for the separation of Alberta, and any destabilizing activities with regard to the government only benefit those movements. It's just, and it's spreading across the country. They're spreading destabilization. These are destabilizing activities. This is taking lawfare into the courts. I mean, they consistently accuse the government and government institutions, police, etc., of launching lawfare against them, when in reality it's the other way around. Because again, what have we seen here? They created the situation, the legal challenge, but the legal challenge is being spearheaded by a political activist group that is deeply invested in breaking the country apart. So I have issues with that. Thoughts?
Yeah, I take issue with it too. And I mean, apparently they didn't do it good in court today. So that's a positive thing. What happened in court today was that the judge wants more information, I guess, before they go forward and give them a grant of whatever for Alberta. So that's good news. That's good news. Yeah. They're going to give more time for the other side to say, no, hey, we're patriotic Canadians and we need to stay put. So that's good news. But I mean, the JCCF, from what I've seen, they've lost a lot of challenges. Yes. When it's of recent, I don't know what their record was before. Did they lose a lot before? If that's the case, why do you hire them? I mean, you know, if they're constantly losing, I mean, Jeff might be better off with another team, but you know, I'm just saying, like, and their contracts are, you know, very one-sided apparently. I don't have mine in front of me that was offered, but you know, I remember Chad warning us about Keith Wilson's contract and the JCCF contract, and thank God he did warn us, because some of us would have been in, you know, you do as I say and you promote yourself how I tell you to. So that's your voice. That's not a voice. That's not the legal system. That is you know, that's a playing out for the world to see.
Yeah, I just I said from the beginning, this is an interesting case. I think Jeff has a legitimate right to challenge it the way that he did. I really don't have an issue with personally with what he's done. It's all this stuff going on around him, because it's sort of like it's the same actors, whether it's Rebel News using it for, you know, revenue generation, or even InfoWars. I mean, as much as they're promoting it or raising awareness with it, they're also using it to generate clicks.
Oh yeah, it's government overreach.
Yeah. So, you know, that's why this is partly what makes it an interesting case, because it has so many layers to it, because it is very political. And I think it warrants standing back, taking a broader view of this and saying, wait a minute, what's really going on here? Because this isn't just what it appears to be on the surface. This is not just about the ban on walking in the woods. This takes on so many other characteristics. It's complicated, and you really need to understand what's going on politically in the country and even in the US to really get the full scope of this thing. And they're saying, well, Jeff is saying, didn't he say something you mentioned to me as we were talking earlier today to line up this interview? You said, and you're right, Jeff said that if anybody out there is fundraising in my name, it's a scam. Right?
Yeah, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but yes.
Now, this is interesting. I got this in my email just a couple of hours before coming on air tonight. And of course, Jeff is a PPC candidate, People's Party of Canada. I got this in my email. So I don't know if Maxime Bernier talked to Jeff prior to posting this, but here he is encouraging people. Let me see if I can, I have to find the right tab so I can scroll down for you. He's asking people to donate to the PPC, and he's to the political party. And he is, here it is here. I tweeted this about the coming climate lockdowns during COVID. 3.5 years later, we're there. Nova Scotia's fake Conservative Premier Tim Houston started the trend with his tyrannical ban on going out in nature. And you can whatever, like, these are all, I'm cool. If you want to talk about this stuff as issues, fine. We can explore the issues. But then he comes down, and of course, what do they do? Richard, how much is this worth to you? Can you pitch in $50 to make sure the PPC has the means to continue to do this crucial work? Because he's talking right here specifically about Jeff, you know, in his case.
Yeah.
And then asking everyone to donate to the PPC, invoking Jeff's case. And right here, Cape Breton PPC candidate Jeff Evely, who did it on purpose and is going to courageously challenge this draconian measure. Okay. That's fine, but Jeff asked people to donate to the JCCF.
At least he's accurate.
You know, so people are.
I mean, at least he's accurate. It's a lot better than I've seen from the Ontario Party, who I haven't got an email from, or my husband hasn't, or somebody else I know hasn't got an email from yet, asking for money for Jeff. But I mean, these people ask for money and donations. The biggest problem I have with that, there's no transparency, zero transparency on where this money goes, who gets the envelopes. I know I was offered one, and I know I told them to take a hike because they offered it under false pretenses. But I'm just like, I know what goes on there because I've been there. I've been offered the envelope, right?
Yeah, you've gone full Cylon on me because your audio is breaking up. There's like digitization going on, bad connection. But I think you might be back now. You want to try again?
Somebody backing in, actually backing in beside me. It seems to.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's take a very short break while this person finishes backing in. We'll come back on the other side, and hopefully the audio will be just a little bit better. Stay with us.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's see if Brigitte is back. I think she got disconnected, and there she is. We have her back.
Am I there?
You're here, and your audio is clean again. So I don't know if you remember exactly where you were.
Buddy just hit a pole.
Oh my!
Sorry. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been offered an envelope, and I turned it down because it was false pretenses. So I know what these political groups do, and there's no transparency in there. So that's where I have the problem, where the political guys come in and start raising money. It's there's no transparency.
Yeah, but they don't really need to show either kind of where, the money's coming from or exactly where it's going either sometimes. So that's, I think, what she means by transparency. And we lost her link again, but I'm sure she will be back in a moment. Let me just run another little short promo here so we try to stabilize the connection. We'll come back and continue with Brigitte Belton on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yeah, you're back. I hope the audio.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's better. We're better. Yeah. So yeah, again, peel back the layers of the onion, and you find a lot more complexity to this than simply, a challenge to the restrictions on hiking in the woods in Nova Scotia. Where were we with you as before we lost your connection again? Do you remember what you were trying to say?
I think it was just that there was no transparency in the fundraising.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing is, this to me smacks in some ways of what we saw happen during the convoy and what happened to you. You left high and dry, like many, many others, with no legal representation at the end of everything, even though the JCCF came riding in like, like they were on white chargers or something. That's right. Saying, we're going to represent you. Don't fear. Keith Wilson encouraging everyone to hold the line and stay out there in front, even as police were saying, time for you all to leave. Then people got beaten, which was created a great photo op. We've been through all of this. The people who got beaten really paid the price on the front lines. A lot of people who got beaten, a lot of people who took tickets, fines, got arrested, went to court, didn't get representation from the JCCF in the end. Only select people who really seemed to stick to a particular political narrative ended up getting representation from the JCCF, which throws, their motivations under the microscope for me. And now here again, what are we seeing? I'm seeing influencers online encouraging people to run into the woods, to take tickets, following Jeff Evely's example. And I'm not criticizing Jeff. He did what he did. But now we're seeing other people saying, you should do what that guy did. Run into the woods and take a ticket, and you can challenge it constitutionally too. But they don't have the JCCF promising to support them. They don't necessarily have people lined up to pay their fines, right? And the average person, to take a $28,000 ticket, that could devastate a lot of people financially. They may never recover from something like that, some people. And so this is a very dangerous thing. I really questioned that logic from, I did ask Jeff about it. I do not think that's a wise thing to do. And I think as I'm editorializing here, I personally don't agree with that approach, because it puts too many people in danger. Too many people suffer. It also, I think, is disrespectful on many levels. And even politically, I think that Jeff said, I can't advise people to do that because what's the offense? It's inciting to engage in mischief, or I don't remember what the exact law is.
But he is, by putting it out there repeatedly. Look, this is the woods. Look, this isn't the woods. Look, I'm in the woods. Look, I'm not in the woods. Regardless if he says he's promoting it to others, he absolutely is.
Yeah.
And he's, and other people are now doing it. A gentleman with kids went in. I think he got like $60,000 in fines. I don't know if he's representative by JCCF or not, but I can tell you what my experience is. I was told by Wilson I was represented by him, even though I was cut off with all communication via text and our chat groups. And for 4 months, I thought he represented me. When I found out he didn't represent me, was also about the time I found out that I was to go to the POEC and that he had withheld that information, him or whoever he gave it to within the Freedom Court, withheld that information from me until I could no longer defend myself at the POEC and couldn't have my own standing. And that wasn't just me. They did that to Chris. They did Chris Guerra, Chad Eros, Benjamin Dichter, and myself. So I'm not the only one that got, kind of thrown under the bus so that JCCF could ask us questions, but we couldn't ask them anything. So, I mean, I'm telling you, the JCCF is not the legal team that you want. It's not the ones, they kept saying, well, we represent truckers. I want to know what truckers they represented. There were very few truckers. Tom Marazzo's not a trucker. Danny Bulford's not a trucker. Leach isn't a trucker. They did represent Maxine Bernier and Randy Hillier. And in a message to me from Tim Marazzo, those were paid out of trucker donations. Well, you know, or it seemed like they were paid out of trucker donations by his message, made it seem that way. Well, those aren't truckers. He's not a trucker. So the truckers should have been covered, every last trucker, and not people that weren't truckers if it was a trucker fund. So, you know, you have to really look at what they do and how they word things. Even with the fundraising from the political aspect, they say one thing and it's not true. Chris isn't going to lose his only truck. I mean, I'd be in a different situation. I only have one truck. Chris has 4. You know, they pull on the heartstrings until you take from your wallet to give to them. And a lot of it is not 100% truth.
Yeah. And is this the guy that you're referring to who has the kids?
I don't know if that's the one that got the fine, but that is the one that went into the woods.
Yeah. Here, let's let this roll.
I'm walking here with my kids in Nova Scotia, in the forest, looking at $125,000 fine for walking on this beautiful trail. We don't smoke. We're not going to light a fire. I don't think really anybody else is going to do that either who is a decent citizen. So I think it's bullshit that the government is trying to stop people from walking in the forest. Hey kids, what are we? Free! That's right, we're free.
So I honestly, I hope he doesn't get $125,000 fine.
I hope he doesn't either.
You know, like I don't wish that on him or anybody. But that's why
I also don't wish that people that, you know, they talk about, because I'm free, I can walk in the woods. Well, let's say somebody like myself is a smoker. Does that mean I'm free to go walk through the woods with a cigarette? Mm-hmm. Does that mean do a campfire? Right?
Yeah, I think you're freezing up again there. But
that I'm free to go into. Am I back?
Yeah.
Am I back, Rick?
Yeah. You're back. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. I had a call come in. And I had forgot to silence that thing. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, I mean, does that mean I'm a camper and I should be free to go and light a campfire? When you talk about freedom, that's what you're talking about. Everyone has the freedom to do exactly what they so choose to do. Yeah. So if you're going through the woods saying I'm free, well, then I'm free to light a cigarette. I'm free to have a campfire. I'm free to do as I choose. Well, there are limitations to that freedom. And it's, I mean, otherwise we'd have people, you know, oh, well, it's okay that the guy shot him because he has the freedom to have a gun and a bullet and, you know, there's no consequences. It's not that way. It's not that way.
Yeah. It's, I again, I understand the issue, but this is not really like it's being compared, like even by Maxime Bernier, to what happened during the COVID lockdowns. And then again, as I replayed the interview last night, thought about the issue more, and this isn't just about Jeff. It's not about me attacking Jeff in any way. This is just me assessing the issue. I don't think this is like COVID.
No, me neither.
And you and I had spoken about that on the phone earlier today as well. And I don't have what you had tried to send me, but I did.
Oh, I apologize.
I did put this together based on our conversation earlier today, just comparing the COVID lockdowns versus the wildfire. And I confess I did use AI to do this.
That's okay. What I sent you, I did the same thing. I was trying to pull stats from the US, stats from Canada. You know, and it's funny because a lot of these guys want to be 51st state. Well, you know what? Jeff got a $28,000 fine. Had he been in the US, it could have been up to 10 years imprisonment. Way to go, 51st staters. Like, you know, this is not just a Canadian thing. This happens in the US.
It does. It does indeed. I looked up some of the history on that as well. And even though we talked, Jeff and I talked about it, like, has this ever been done before? And he said,
It
no, this
has.
has never been done before. Actually, yeah, it kind of has, but we can talk about that more in a few minutes. But here's this, comparison using AI. I did that because I used the information you gave me for the prompt to get this
Right.
result. And here's the result converted into a chart so that we can just explore this issue together. And
And I have to apologize. It's about the size of an ant on my screen.
Yeah, I'll read it to you. So, so on the left, COVID-19 lockdowns compared to the Nova Scotia wildfire restrictions. And the purpose of the lockdowns was to limit the spread of COVID by restricting movement, gatherings, and non-essential activities. And over here, for the wildfires, to prevent human-caused wildfires during extreme drought conditions by limiting access to wooded areas. And so the scope on the COVID lockdowns is broad and comprehensive, including stay-at-home orders, school and business closures, restrictions on gatherings, intra-provincial travel bans, like you couldn't even travel sometimes between provinces, and limits on public spaces like parks. You couldn't even go to the park in many cases. You couldn't walk on the beach. You couldn't do any of these things. And it affected nearly every, and it's true, it didn't affect nearly all aspects of life. It affected every aspect of life.
That's correct. And as we went further down it said, I laughed when I saw it in my AI, when I asked the question. It said, it could be for a few weeks or a few months. And I was like, no, man, it was 2 years. Right. This wildfire thing is going to end as soon as they get enough rain to soak the bed of the forest. Right. That's the reality of it. Right. And we know that fire can travel underground. So what you can't see may be there may be hot spots, and you're walking on them and opening them up. Right. So, and it happens fast. A hot amber floating through the air can start a fire. We know that as well. This is not rocket science, and it's just basic knowledge. Anybody that's been a scout or a Girl Guide should know these things.
Yeah. And in the case of the wildfires, the scope here is narrow and targeted. Narrow in the sense that it's focused on certain wooded areas, right? Certain forests that are in high risk, where they're trying to, as I sit back and look at it, it's because they want to put fewer people in there, so you don't have any human contact with the area at all, so that there's not going to be anybody in there with a lighter, nobody in there doing anything, nobody on an ATV with a hot exhaust, maybe catching some leaves on fire by accident, no open fires at all, because people in there. If you keep the people out, and not only that, if you don't need to catch an arsonist if you don't let an arsonist into the woods. And if anybody does go in there and you're able to monitor in some way and detect anybody in there at all, then you just say, hey, what are you doing in here? If you're in there, you're probably in there because you're defiant or you're up to no good. So you have to get out. And it gives them the authority to just pull people out. And unfortunately, and this is something that has been kind of apparent here on our program on the Haters channel over on Channel 2, people's rights end up being restricted because of the bad actions of a few bad apples. Unfortunately, that is what ends up happening. If you have people who are not respectful, if you have people who go around setting things on fire, then everybody suffers, because everybody's rights end up being restricted sometimes. And then we should really, I think, be pointing the finger at the people who are committing the bad acts, setting things on fire, or just causing problems, and blaming them, not people who are trying to respond and come up with a solution to a really large problem.
It is a large problem. The fires are on and off again. They contain, they don't contain. And we do know, like I said, there are people that set fires, that get their kicks from fires. Yep. So only a blanket in some areas. It's not blanketed like COVID. COVID was restricting of all things in your life. Whereas a fire ban, you're not being told you can't go to the park and walk your dog. You're not being told you can't walk down the street or drive down the street. They're just saying in this certain area where in this part of the forest, we're really worried you can't come in here.
Right. And,
And Jeff showed that himself in one of his videos. He said, look, here's the woods. Here's where I can walk. And here's the woods where I can't walk.
Right.
And if you looked at the video, the one place he could walk looked very clean and like there was enough saturation and it was still fairly green. Whereas the other place he showed was more brown. There was more stuff on the ground. There was more pack. It wasn't clean. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, we can't afford to have people go out and clean the forest. Yep. So this is the outcome of it. Now, yes, there's a whole bunch of arguments. Well, if we didn't send money overseas, I get it, but that's not the case. That's not where we're at. This is where we're at right at this moment. You want to make change? Let's make change. But we can't do that today, right now. You have to advocate for that.
And those are not really, those are red herrings, wild goose chases. Those are things that people say to just confuse and get people emotional. If they're spending money over here, but they would, if they weren't spending money in Ukraine, they'd have more money for water bombers. No, these, that's conflation. That is not really valid discussion in my view. There's that much merit to saying things like that. That's just stuff to get people jacked up and make larger try to score cheap political points. The issues are right here in front of us. And this is the stuff really that they will be dealing with in court. I think like here it is, the legal basis, Provincial Public Health Act, like for the COVID lockdowns, it was a Provincial Public Health Act, an emergency declaration. And some measures like interprovincial travel restrictions raised concerns about violating Section 6, which is mobility rights of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Right now in Nova Scotia, and this is the other thing, this is only in Nova Scotia, the measures to this degree. Huge fine increases, mind you, in some of these other maritime provinces, in the tens of thousands of dollars. So I get it. That's another question. Does the punishment fit the crime? And you can deal with that in court. But right now, the ban is temporary in Nova Scotia, enforced under emergency wildfire risk protocols, and restrictions are temporary until October 15th, with a very set date at this point, or until conditions improve, which means if it rains, the conditions could be lifted.
Will drop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I know some can argue, well, if the numbers went down, then the COVID mandates would have been lifted. The problem with the argument is that we're restricting a small area that's under fire. And with the COVID, we blanketed every aspect of your life. We also segregated and discriminated against people. So, when they talk about, well, I can go to the woods, but the smoker can't, and the camper can't that wants to have a bonfire. That's when you have the segregation and discrimination, but that's what they're promoting indirectly, which is kind of funny when I think about it, because, they're going, well, I can go to the woods, but the smoker that wants to have a cigarette can't, and the guy that wants to go camping can't, but I can go for my walk because I'm not causing harm. Yeah. That's when you have your challenge. You're discriminating against certain populations.
And the duration here, for the COVID lockdowns is such, it extended over months and years, really, like 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. With varying intensity across waves. And I'm very much opposed to it. I think it clearly went too far.
Nobody's asking you to grow a tree in your woohoo. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like we had vaccine mandates, but nobody's asked to, put a tree limb and watch it grow in your forearm. Nobody's been asked to do any of that. So, I mean, nobody's forcing a chemical compound on you to grow a tree so that we can, fight climate change. Nobody's doing that.
Right.
I think the COVID thing went way over the top,
Yeah.
whereas this is a safety measure. I know people will say, well, so was COVID, but it's far different. People are losing their homes. They're losing their jobs. They're losing everything.
Yeah.
Their houses are burning. The businesses in which support Nova Scotia are burning. Like, can we not look at the broader picture here?
Yeah, and it's not like there aren't alternatives, right? There are other places people can go to engage in these recreational activities. It's just these certain areas. It isn't everywhere. During the lockdowns, it was everywhere, every house. You couldn't have people over, like it was every aspect of your life. This is walking in these woods during
Right.
this time for a limited time or until it rains. And
Right.
that's a very targeted thing. This is, and then on top of that, I'm seeing again, some social media influencers saying to people even in other provinces,
Go
screw
to Nova Scotia.
go to Nova Scotia and walk around in the woods. Well, what public good comes from that?
Well, and what happens if one of those influencers have somebody that goes in and starts a fire? Who is now responsible? Are they going to say, well, the guy did it on his own? Well, sure, but you told him to go. I think there's culpability there. I mean, you have a responsibility.
Yeah, in fact, you are at that point counseling to commit mischief. And that is actually a crime. And I've seen somebody do that. I think they're too stupid, honestly, to understand that what they did was a crime, but they opened their big mouth and told people to do this. And that is a crime. They could be charged for counseling to commit a crime, which is to do that and to tell people to go there and do it. I think is irresponsible, pig-headed, selfish, stupid, as just about stupid can be.
I don't know. I'm seeming to be a little further off the right. I guess people would have thought I was far right, but I was never far right. I was for justice for everyone, for everyone to be considered equal, right?
This isn't this.
And this doesn't make one person more equal than another person. So I don't find these bans to be, something that we should be rage farming over.
This is not really, in my view, this shouldn't be viewed through the lens of left versus right, conservative versus liberal. You're a communist if you don't believe in this. No, this honestly, if you believe in real freedom, then you have to understand that you have to have some limits on personal liberties, personal rights, freedoms, in order to have a stable society. If you don't have these rules in place and it becomes a free-for-all, you get chaos, you get anarchy, you get people just doing whatever the hell they want. And then that really actually ends up limiting people's freedom, because now you're living, there's no freedom living in a world that's on frickin' fire.
Or, fear of what the retribution will be if you go outside because there's no rules.
Yeah, that's
right. So at some point we all have to kind of just stop and think we can get outraged at anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been upset about, so much as my hydro bill, but we don't go cutting down poles because the hydro is expensive. It's kind of that way. And I think we really need to stop and go, okay, how can we fight this if we don't like it?
Yeah. But
do it respectfully, where we're not, if I cut down the hydro pole because I didn't like it, now my whole neighborhood's out of hydro.
Yeah.
That's not fair to everybody else. It's not respectful to everybody else.
Right.
And we could be prolonging or adding to wildfires by saying, go for a walk in the woods, go to Nova Scotia. We don't do that. If you really want to help, if people really, really want to help, and Jeff says, he was part of the service and that, he's done service forever. That's what, veterans do. Then get some boxes together, pack up all the clothes that you don't wear, that are still good, put up boxes, put men's size 12 or 32 or whatever you guys, I know you guys are the same as us, large, medium, whatever, and put together some kits for victims of the fire. That's what we should be doing. We should be going and supporting and bringing big, stacks of water to the firefighters that are out there that are fighting those fires. You know what, Nielsen, you guys do a great job. Send a truckload to Nova Scotia so those firefighters have water. I'm calling on you. I'm calling on companies to help out. That's what we should be advocating for. Oh my gosh, people are losing their homes. What do they need? They're going to need a toothbrush, going to burn in the fire, right? Sometimes you only have 20 seconds to grab your stuff while a cop drives by and says, you've got to leave, They're losing their memorabilia. And, I saw someone online going, oh, well, no big deal. Things are replaceable.
Yeah.
That's family memories, family heirlooms, the house that somebody grew up in.
Yeah.
And those are the same people that cry about Chris Barber's truck being taken by the government. Well, there you go. It's only an inanimate object. Don't worry about it. So I think we should look at all the things. I've got a pretty stable line on how we should view things. And it doesn't go from, one, oh my God, to another. It's like, okay, let's assess. No, that makes sense. I'm not into all of this rage farming over ostriches, that were used for COVID research and elbows up stuff. And I'm just not into it. I just, everything needs to remain kind of fair. And I think the fair thing we can do now as a community who was convoy is let's pack up supplies and let's support those that are losing their homes, their jobs. And that's how we support. Right. And that's how we become a better community.
Yes, because those are the people who are losing everything. They're the ones who actually need support, need help. They didn't ask for any of this. Right. Their lives have just been devastated. And so instead of directing our resources to, okay, Jeff wants to do his thing. Cool. You go do that. That's fine. I have no issues with what he did. But what I do have an issue with is wasting resources on court cases that don't have to happen, because it only takes one good case like Jeff's to challenge something in court, challenge a law, challenge based on constitutional rights and the constitutionality of it. But over here, you don't need 500 more that you have to fund. The only people who are going to benefit from that are the bloody lawyers who are going to get filthy rich. And a lot of those people will have to fund it themselves, and they'll suffer. Now, instead of having families that got burned out of their homes needing help, you've got them plus 400 other people that need assistance because they're in financial jeopardy, because they're in legal jeopardy, that they've taken on because they followed some stupid person who said you should run into the forest and defy the law. And they may not get good representation. They may end up devastated. This is not responsible. It just shows that some people don't give a damn about regular, ordinary folks. But I do. My advice, and I'm editorializing, is don't do that. If you want to, this is going to play out, let it play out. It's an interesting case. It may set a precedent. It probably will in the end, but you don't need 500 people to do that. You need one good court challenge, And Jeff's case appears to be the one. So let it play. But we don't need 400 people suffering when we already have a lot of people who already need help because they lost their
Exactly.
homes.
They've lost homes. And the last I heard, there was a business park on fire. So that's their jobs now, not just their homes, but the way they earn a living to pay those homes.
Yeah.
And there was one place that I think it was California, I was reading, that the homes got desecrated. The insurance companies paid out so much, but then they lost them because they had no money to pay for the insurance. And so they ended up homeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
It financially, whatever happened, they couldn't rebuild. They couldn't get their homes back and they had to start over. So I guess maybe I'm just too much of a humanitarian, and I'm like, we need to help those that are losing everything. I would hate to be in that situation and to see people say, well, you know, it's only a material thing, but those are the same people that are supporting Barber and his truck. I mean, like, you can't have it both ways. We need an even keel, a nice even line. You know, let's be fair to everyone.
And put the resources where they're going to do the most good. I think you've got a valid point. I mean, I have to say you have a valid point. This approach of encouraging more and more people to run into the woods and get tickets, it weakens everyone. It weakens our community. It certainly weakens the freedom movement, if you want to look at it that way. And
that's exactly how I look at it.
Yeah. And so this is not wise.
When you have people running around going, look at those freedom dummies, right? How about we stop getting labeled that way and let them go, oh my gosh, they just brought 3 truckloads worth of supplies to help the people in need. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And
wouldn't that set a better precedence for Freedom Convoy?
Absolutely.
And the supporters of?
And I haven't heard
Let's
any
do
of these
good work.
I haven't heard any of the pundits, any of the influencers who are telling people to run into the woods talk about trying to help any of the people who just lost their homes, their lives, their livelihoods, and they're out on, you know, like literally homeless with kids. I don't hear any of them talking about helping those people. And that's where the support is needed most right now.
And you have firefighters who are sleeping against the truck on the ground. How about bring them, you know, I'm sure in Nova Scotia, they've probably got fold out, you know, lawn chairs or something. How about bring them some of those? They can pull those back quite easily, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Find out, we can do so much.
Yeah.
And instead we're complaining that we can't walk in the woods and to heck with what somebody else is going through.
Yeah.
I mean, if you sat there and thought, look where you are right now in your home and go, what would happen if I went to work tomorrow and I came back and this was a pile of charred stick? How would I feel? And put yourself right in that position and go, and what would I need immediately?
Yeah. And look, all of these,
sorry.
Yeah. And all of our firefighters, first responders out there, they're doing their best to deal with a really serious issue with these wildfires. It's a huge challenge. Their resources are extended to the max, and it doesn't help to then have a whole bunch of people run into the woods to protest, and then you have to apply resources to making sure that that's managed and that the protesters are kept safe, because that's ultimately what police are supposed to be there doing. Is you might monitor them, but you're also there to make sure primarily that everybody remains safe. That's what the job of good policing is. But if you're applying resources to watch all these people, I don't know, walking around in the woods with Bristol board on yardsticks, you know, saying, hell no, we won't go. Those resources aren't going to be applied to fighting the fires or keeping people safe who are losing their homes and evacuating people. You're causing trouble. That's wrong.
I just think as a community, we could shine so brightly if we stop putting our needs ahead of everyone else's, work together and make, I mean, we could literally have resources right now coming from BC if we just planned it right. We've got a truck that comes over from BC, and we can get it to Manitoba. Then we switch, another truck, and that's a pallet full of goods. How many, we can feed a whole nation if we just work together, and we can be better. Wouldn't it be so much better to have the Liberals sitting there going, oh my God, I hate the Freedom Convoy movement because they do such good work? I mean, it would be so much better. Yeah. But nobody looks at it that way. And I mean, that's what I did when I went down to Tennessee. And I had some lovely people come with me, and we did a great thing. We filled a whole church, right? Yeah. We filled a whole church. I'm sorry, I'm not available this time. I can't do it this time. Somebody else pick it up. Hey, Chris Barber, you got a truck and a flatbed. Fill that thing up.
Yeah. And that's how you build goodwill and support in the public. That's how you do it. In my view, this stuff here, I get that people are emotional about it right now, but really, this is taking on too much negativity for me. I take my hat off to Jeff for being respectful and just being upfront about what he was doing, not pretending to get assaulted by a tree and saying, I'm going to sue you. Right? No. I mean, he's just
or a water bomber dropping water. I got wet from the water bomber. I'm suing.
I think really this all kind of takes away from what he's doing. This makes him actually casts him in a negative light. And this isn't him. This is all the stuff going on around him. And I think
the Rebel News and the InfoWars and the Viva Fry and the Jason Levine's and the endless podcasters and it's funny because you can look right through on their feed and they're contradicting themselves. If you go down maybe 10 posts, 10 posts earlier, they're saying one thing, and then they're like, oh, but I support Jeff, and it's a total different narrative. So it's just like, guys, you've got to be more even, more consistent. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I just find I have one line. I'm not all over. I'm not heavy left. I'm not heavy right. I'm just center. If it makes sense, let's do it. and I just think this is all too much and makes us look so bad as a freedom movement. I mean, Jeff has some skill. Yeah. Like I said, he's ex-military, right? Excuse me just a second. He's ex-military. He could be putting up shelters for those that lost their home. He could be helping navigate stuff. He could be a volunteer firefighter. I mean, he's got mad skill. I think he could use his skills better than suing the government, which I have to pay for, by the way. That kind of upsets me. I have to pay for that with my tax dollars. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
And now I've got to pay for that because he wanted to take a walk in the woods, I mean, everybody wanted Trudeau to take a walk in the woods. He ended up taking a walk in the woods, and now Jeff's right there with them. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. I'm being a little sarcastic, but
one case. Yeah. Okay. I'm cool with it. But then like, as I say, just to try and get all these other people to go in, it just seems like it's just sacrificing people for no greater good. It causes disruption. It causes problems. And there's nothing good will come of that. Just a lot of bad stuff, except more news stories, because as those people fall into financial jeopardy, maybe lose their homes, who gets blamed? The government, right? But that's political activism again. That really has nothing to do with this issue about the forest thing. This is about a larger political agenda. And I think because you're seeing a lot of the separatists involved in this, especially the JCCF and, and these lawyers who are near the tip of the spear on this movement to break the country apart. I think that's really largely what is going on here and the 51st state stuff. And Jeff said that he would like U.S. politicians or a U.S. politician to intervene and at least comment on this issue to apply pressure on the Canadian government. But as I think about it, in fact, that's already happened. The U.S. and this is why we're in the situation we're in, because we have seen U.S. politicians complaining about Canada because of all the smoke from the wildfires, accusing the Canadian governments of not managing forests properly, of not doing enough to put out the fires, that it's becoming an international issue. And really, I think even a challenge to Canadian sovereignty, suggesting that Canada can't take care of its own forests. It's not a real country. So it's like there's that issue. This response we're getting from the government of Nova Scotia, I think, is in part a response to that. And now that they're responding to that concern from the U.S. side, we got to do something to get those U.S. politicians to be happy so they don't invade us and make us the 51st state or whatever is running through their heads. Now they do that, and now they get attacked on the other side. You've gone too far. Well, you have to go really far to make a point to the U.S. politicians so they don't invade us. It's going around in circles, and then then I hear these people, Jeff included yesterday, saying, we need help up here. We need help from the U.S. My God, have you seen what's going on down there? I don't think they can help us. They need help.
Yes, they do.
Apart.
They do. I mean, they're deporting their own citizens just because they look brown. I mean, have you seen the California wildfires? I went through there when I was first trucking, probably in my second or third year, and I drove along a riverbed in California, and the fire had come down the mountain and then crossed over the river. Okay. Yeah. And I drove by those homes, and I thought, my gosh, like the char was unbelievable. And it wasn't just half a mile. Yeah. It was 10 and 20 miles wide. Those homes are gone. Those people have nothing. So while the government wants to go ahead and, say what Canadians should do, how about you go take a look at your own fires in California, go over there and clean up the floor, and then when you're perfect, come back to Canada. Canada is just fine. We don't need the 51st state telling us what to do. We are our own constitution. We are our own democracy. Yeah. And I loved Trump. I absolutely did, until he started this 51st state stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, I am a Canadian patriot. That means I'm Canadian first. And I love the U.S. I love the citizens. I love my friends down there. I'm here all the time, every week. And I love it as it's my own country, but I am Canadian first.
Yeah. And then, you talk about the devastation in California, and here it is right here. This is on the Canadian side. This is Kingston, Newfoundland, aerial shot shared by this Mr. Sunshine Baby. And, he's got a following, but he's right in step with the narrative, the anti-government narrative. And he's a separatist, wants to break the country apart, clearly, pushes it every day now. But one look at this photo, look at the expanse of all those flames. Look at how widespread that is. If it's a serious situation, and he's sitting here right now. Many thousands of people have been forced to evacuate. The fire is only getting bigger and more out of control. People are panicking. Many indicators pointing to arson. The province's reaction: shut down recreational use of the woods. Well, yeah, because ATVs can exhaust, or a spark can. This is how a lot of them start. Open fires, having people walking through the woods, smoking. And not everybody that goes into those woods for recreational purposes is there to recreate in a responsible way. Some of those people are arsonists. So
you don't know what's under the bed. I mean, you could drop your metal water bottle and hit something that's under the bed. You can cause a spark. It may not smolder for hours. I mean, people need to understand that this is not a COVID thing. This is so much bigger. There are people's homes on the line, their businesses on the line. And if you want to go walk in the woods, hey, look, you see where those flames are? Go walk there. Like, I'm over it. I'm so done. It's such a silly little, I want the ability to do this. But hey, when it comes to the LGBTQ, they don't have the ability to wear their skirts and be outside. I mean, what is it? Do we want freedom or do we not want freedom? How about the things that don't affect you in your bedroom? Don't worry about. You know, if it's not, and if it's not directly affecting you, don't worry about it. Move on.
Yeah.
I just want us to be better, and I want us to shine as brightly as we did when we helped other people that were in my boat, that were feeling like they were all alone and that death was the answer. I want us to get back to that. And I want us to be good people. We're good people. Are we not good people? Canadians are good people. So let's rally and let's get around, get boxes together and figure out a way to support Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. And let's help people. That's what we should be doing. And that will kill the Liberals so much more than talking about silly stuff about being locked out of the woods, right? I mean, it would kill them with kindness. Isn't that what we're taught? Kill them with kindness. What would the Liberals say if we came up with 3 truckloads, 53 feet each, of supplies to help out their communities? They can't, yell at us anymore. They can only praise us.
And I'm not in Nova Scotia, so I can't see firsthand how widespread this is. Personally, I look at it and I kind of go, it may well be overreach. No other province has done this at this point. But at the same time, it's a duly elected government. They're doing their best to deal with a very difficult situation. There are political things going on behind the scenes I'm sure we don't know about, especially internationally, because of the pressure being applied on the U.S. side. So I have to, extend some benefit of the doubt to the people who have been charged with the duty of dealing with this crisis, and extend to them a lot of latitude here in how they choose or feel they need to deal with it, and not cause a lot of trouble. If I don't agree with it, I have to accept it. I live in a democracy. These are the guys who are elected, so I have to let them do their jobs. And if I don't agree with it, then I have to follow a democratic process in order to challenge that, which is what Jeff did initially here, which is fine. You want to challenge it in the court? That's part of the process. You feel that you have to take the ticket in order to have standing when you appear before the judge. Fine. You do what you got to do. That's all cool. But then after that, what I'm seeing going on now, this is getting into, this is a rinse and repeat of ostrich land and just a lot of these other things. It's like the issue of the day, right? And
I'm the next emergency.
I'm just wondering how long it will be before somebody sets up a bouncy castle and has a concert in the middle of the frickin' forest.
Okay, wait. I know who got us the bouncy castles, and I love her to death. So if we're going to put bouncy castles out, maybe we'll put it outside the area so the kids that lost their homes can go play somewhere.
Fair enough, right?
Yeah, I'm all about helping.
It's just we're repeating ourselves at this point. I think the point has been made. You can agree or disagree.
I wish Jeff the best of luck in his constitutional challenge. I kind of look at it and go, it's not blanketed. It's only Nova Scotia. The Constitution is across the country. Yeah, it's not just in one area. And everybody is being affected is the same way. There is not, one person can go, like hikers can go, but campers can't go and smokers can't go. It's totally different than the COVID where, you had the Star of David or you didn't, you had the Vax Pass or you didn't. And so you could participate if you had that, you couldn't if you had that. That's where the constitutional challenge would come in, because it was segregation and discrimination. They're not doing that. Everybody's blanketed. Everybody's covered the same way. So I think he might have a challenge with that. But I wish him luck. If he wins, congratulations. If he doesn't, was it worth it? I don't know. Only he'll be able to answer that. And I hope nobody else gets any other fines. I hope people stay safe. And I hope they actually help people. Please help people.
Yeah. And just before before we wrap up, I did research yesterday and today after the interview with Jeff. I thought, gee, I wonder what the history really is on this, because I'm pretty sure there have been restrictions imposed in the past. Now you can argue how severe they were, how far they went and in any given occasion, but I have, sort of a list here. We have just in Nova Scotia, the one from now. Jeff referred to the one in 2023, which he also tried to challenge, by the way.
Did he win?
I know it was thrown out because he tried to challenge it in the court, but he didn't get a ticket. So the judge said he didn't have
standing. So he had to get a ticket this time.
That's what, as I understand it, yes. So again, that's why I don't really have much of an issue with what he did. And I'm grateful to him doing it the way he did it, because it wasn't like some dramatic, melodramatic, fake thing. He just was straight up about it. Give me the ticket. I'm going to challenge this in court. I broke the law. Now let's challenge the constitutionality. So that was in 2023 with him.
But isn't that the same as a criminal who steals a car and then drives it to the cop shop? I just kind of, not all criminals are smart.
It reminds me of, what was that? I think it was on the Andy Griffith show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Andy Griffith.
Maybe I used to watch that all the time.
Where Otis would break the law and then just walk into the
and put me in the cell. Yeah, or he'd just walk in and close the door. I do remember that. Yeah.
It reminds me sort of that.
Yeah.
Right. But also in 2016, restrictions were placed on wooded area access in Nova Scotia because of fire risks. 2001, they had limited travel and activities in wooded areas, again, because of fire risks. And it goes all the way back to like 1929. When a law was invoked in June of 29 in Nova Scotia requiring permits for entering woods due to drought-related fire risks. I think
Tim and I had actually said it went back to 1891 or something like that. Yeah. I think it went back that far. Now I can't remember if that was in Canada or the US. But I mean, if you look at the US, which everybody's like 51st state, yeah, Jeff would be sitting in a cell tonight.
Yeah.
For doing what he did.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
It is imprisonment. It's not a fine. It's a fine. It's a fine and imprisonment. Now, of course, their fines are a little bit less. They're only 5,000, 1,000 to 5,000 that I saw, but you get imprisonment. Mm-hmm. So for those that are promoting the 51st state and then going out and walking in the woods, that would have been your fine, up to 5,000 plus imprisonment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't, I don't think they understand reality between the difference of Canada and how many freedoms we actually have here compared to there. Yeah. I mean, the jails are full here with people with great intentions, or even just truck drivers who had a bad day.
Yep. And I'm speaking here now, again, strictly, I'm not talking about fines. That's another issue. I think these are, the highest fines ever applied to an offense like this, or an alleged offense. But, it isn't just Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, British Columbia, Alberta, virtually every province and territory at some point has implemented through history and even recent history restrictions on access to wooded areas because of wildfires. It's a huge problem. And that's the case in the United States too. You've got many. I went back and I found a whole bunch of historical mile markers
Yeah, they closed down national parks, completely closed them down. You cannot be in them. You cannot walk in them. Can't get near them, or you're arrested. I mean, that's just the way it is.
And that's why in the beginning, like I'm just looking here, 2016 wildfires in Southeast U.S., restrictions in North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia. That was just in 1 year. 2017 Western wildfires that affected Oregon, Montana, California, Washington. I would imagine, I didn't look today, but I would think there must be restrictions in many areas in California because they have such, problems out there. 2021, 2025, it goes back decades and decades and this has been going on like forever.
Right.
So it really, that I think, that's why initially I was like, I don't really know the history. I don't know the case law. Haven't really read the legislation, but now it'll be not quite a week. Here I sit after all these days, after doing the interview, after looking at stuff, and I'm still forming my opinion on this, but I see that he may win. It may not be constitutional because of the degree to which it reaches or maybe overreaches, but because of the precedents that have been set both in Canada and the U.S. And sometimes what goes on in the U.S. is considered in Canadian case law. I think that weakens the position on this challenge in court. So again, it's going to be interesting. I think he has a democratic right to do what he's doing. I support that. But all this other stuff, this is political activism. It's destructive. It's, I think, in some ways, even intentionally destabilizing. And some people, I think, have even crossed the line by encouraging others with big mouths to even leave other provinces, come to Nova Scotia, go out, intentionally break the law, intentionally get tickets, intentionally cause problems for the government. And then they've been encouraged by some people with big mouths to then leave the province and not pay the tickets, which I think is also.
Is that happening?
Well, that was what was one person that I know was advising people to do. And I think that's also really, 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 really bad advice.
Well, I mean, it's not like they've left to another country. I think for that kind of money, I think they're going to come and get you.
Yeah. It's a provincial offense. So the idea is that because it's a provincial offense in Nova Scotia and you just leave, then what are they going to do? Come and get me. Dude, why
I think they have agreements with other provinces, and they can do things like take your driver's license, put a lien on your house. I think there's agreements there. I mean, you'll have to look them up. I'm not for sure, but I do know there's been tons of people in Ontario that had tickets in Quebec that had to deal with them at some point. Or charges that had to deal with them at some point. And, you have Maxime Bernier. I mean, he's involved, and then he puts out a separation message as well. So there you have the separation link. You may be right on the separation thing, although I wasn't quite there with you, but I was seeing the puzzle together with all the influencers that, let's say, made big bank off a convoy come in and rally around Jeff. And I think that's part of his problem is he's got these same people, and it makes him look bad. It really does.
Yeah, I am looking up what would happen if someone from out of province were to take the ticket and then not pay it. And I'm just reading here quickly. Yeah, you could suffer if you do that, man, because you could, if you leave without paying, you could suffer credit damage, reciprocal enforcement in your home province because of agreements, depending on which province you live in, which is what you alluded to there, Brigitte.
Yeah.
There could be potential legal or even travel complications upon returning to Nova Scotia at some point. You could be in a whole heap of trouble if you ever go back to Nova Scotia, like 3 years later, 10 years, even 10 years later, and they find this on a record that pops up and you get pulled over for, I don't know, jaywalking or something.
Who knows, or even a burnout taillight you're not aware of, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean,
come
it's
back
just,
to haunt you. No, this is bad advice.
it is bad advice, and it's been bad advice to go walking in the woods because you're sending in people that don't typically go there in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the people that I've seen in there, they're people that shoo away mosquitoes. They're ones that don't like black flies, and I'm watching them going, that person's never been in the woods a day in their life. Like, you can just see it. I mean, Jeff is probably different. He does have, some forestry by his place. He does show, but it's silly. Why not just help out? Be community oriented. I mean, I promoted that last year, I think. We planted some fruit trees, and we share that with the community as it grows, because there are people starving in our community. Wallaceburg is not great for work. So why aren't we taking up these initiatives and showing how brightly the Freedom Convoy movement can be, instead of always opposing authority? We don't need to constantly oppose everything.
Yep, that's right. It should be about building a better country, fixing the problems that we face, not trying to burn it all down. That's
and again, that's just my perspective. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure there'll be tons of people that disagree with me.
You're just being way too positive, Bridget, because they're trying to murder us all.
Right. The sky is constantly falling. I'm so tired of the sky falling.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah. You want to free yourself, folks? Really, you want to free yourself? Then just get yourself into a positive headspace and start doing productive, constructive, positive things. Focus your life on that stuff, and you will free yourself. You'll climb out of this rabbit hole, this deep.
It's a dark place.
It is. Look how dark it is here. I'm still climbing.
It's getting dark here. But I mean, I really have to thank BJ Dichter for the last 3 years, who, when I have a meltdown going, the sky is falling, and I call him and he goes, okay, take a breath. The sky's really not falling. No, I'm telling you, they're murdering us. And he's like, stop, take a deep breath. Okay, now let's go and do some research, and let's think about it. You're really good at that. And I'm like, and I'll call him back 2 days later and I'll go, okay, yeah, I was just really upset. And he goes, yeah, I know. So if you don't have a BJ Dichter in your life, get one, because I mean, it really helps keep you on that even keel of, hey, you know what, the world's not ending. TikTok is definitely a very vile place, and X is not getting any better. I'm like, I moved here, it was nicer. No, maybe I'll go back. Oh no. So be the light in your community, be the light in your home, lead with light. And if you remember on the Sunday during Convoy, that is exactly the scripture I was given to read to all of you from a pastor, was that you are the light. So be that light. Let's follow in God's image, and let's be the light of our community. Let's be the Freedom Convoy movement that people look at and go, wow, I wish I could get into that group. It's just
right on. Brigitte, thank you so much for joining me on the program tonight. It's great to get some balance and alternative perspectives on these things. Some people will agree, millions of others will disagree.
And I will be the pariah still. But I love all of them. I do. I love all of them. And I hope at some point that they can forgive my kind of even centered view on the world.
Yeah. And You know what I need to do with you two? We're gonna do
What
a
is
War
that?
of the War of the Worlds presentation. I'm producing a version of War of the Worlds, and the cast of characters is coming from our community. So I'd like to. I won't do it now because I can't. But I'll call you. We'll just do a little call of like your encounter with the Martians that they're invading, so you can be part of it as well. I hope we can get you to be involved.
Are we gonna like totally flip out Canada like Orson Welles did?
Oh, it's going to
Like,
be so
I'm just,
realistic. Yes.
I mean, it's going to be bad because I mean, we're going to have people like thinking that Ottawa is being invaded by aliens,
Oh, yes.
you know, like
Oh.
New Jersey. Oh my gosh, they're going to flip out. They're going to be like, oh my God, it's so real. And somebody's going to have to go, this is just a broadcast for entertainment purposes only.
That's right. Yes. Well, we don't want to alarm people too much. It's a stellar cast. Even my mom is in it. So
Your mom's in it.
my mom is in it, and it's going to be epic. I've also produced some music to go with it, and one of the songs actually also cues up I'm gonna play this song as sort of a preview of part of it, and it also relates to what's going on tomorrow, which is the Putin-Trump summit in Alaska. We have a special guest coming on tomorrow night to help us put some perspective on that as well at the tail end of that meeting. I'm not optimistic at all heading into that tomorrow, but I am optimistic about War of the Worlds. And if anybody else wants to participate, just email me at maverickmultimedia@mail.com, which was the email scrolling on the bottom of the screen earlier, and we'll include you in the broadcast as well. And here is one of the songs from our Maverick production, upcoming, still in production, of War of the Worlds, the musical. Catch you all tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern on the flip side. Oops. Hang on.
That was only like, there we go.
Okay, here we go.
He's done it destructo. He's gone insane.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.